Hi everyone, and thanks for watching. This is Abhyuday Siddiqui, and now I'm going to present you with the Python code. And now let's get hands-on with some Python code. So you will see that how the program is organized and the flow is added to the program. So now keep watching. So this is the program which I have named user-defined action. That means this would be based on menu system, where you will choose the options from the menu, and then you will see the menu will work accordingly. So the menu base is on integers and type in words, and it has some different values. So you will see that whenever these values are input, the program will respond accordingly. So keep watching. So now first of all, I have a code over here. I'm going to just declare something here. I have named this user defined actions. So for saving time, I'm just going to copy and paste. See, so these are the variables which I have used to incorporate within this program. So you can see a equals to 0, b equals to 0, where 0 shows you the type of integer, and the operator you can see here, this is initialized with double quote. That is means the string variable which is used to input the parameter from the command prompt, and it is typed by the user. And now here you can see different variables which are initialized for different purposes. Let's suppose if you are going to calculate within float, so I have just kept the pace according to this thing. So now you can see one another variable which is forward reverse table. So this will also focus on these things. So you will see that with the passage of this time, you will see that how this incorporates. Now you can see that I have declared different variables, and with this import statement, that means which we'll use later on, where I will be using system commands like exit. So now to save time, see that I have started with the while true loop, where you can see that all the statements or the string values which will be displayed on a screen, you will see that each option has a number. So when the number is called and input to the statement, you can see that ch stands for choice equals to integer and input, where it is converting the value being input from the console to the variable. So that will receive the value only, and then it will execute the statements following this these statements. So you will see that every option here in this menu, you will see that this will be working. So now I have taken input in ch variable. So now continuing with the conditions so that we can focus and track the inputs. So now you can see I have just started focusing the values where ch equals to 1. That means this is not a variable. When it equalizes to 1, or if you find just 1 equals to sign, that is known as assignment operator. That means the value will be variable. So now when it comes to double equals to, that means you are fixing the value. When it is the same, then it has to operate some actions or perform some actions. So you can see I have just made another menu which will guide the user, or which will show the sub menu, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So it is to just guide the user or the student that is going to just understand all these statements. So it will help them a lot. So now see that the word operator I have used here, and operator is a type of integer string, because these plus sign, minus sign, multiplication sign and sign of division, they are just a character, but it supports a string method. So that's why I have used a string instead of character method, which can store either a string or a character. So now if plus sign is a character, minus sign is a character, multiplication sign is a character, and the division sign is also a character. So I could have used the word input like addition. If the user types in addition from the prompt ADDITION addition, so it will execute according to the command given to it, like command prompts, right? So see, you can see that the operator will store the value in which it is focused, right? So now continuing with the other statements, you can see the control structure. I have used selection here. So you can see every if statement and the elif statement, which is the repetition of testing the input, like if operator equals to plus, or if operator equals to minus, or if operator equals to multiplication, or if operator equals to division. So these signs will be tested, and on each test you can see the particular input is written, right? So you can see print addition when it is plus sign, then plus and addition function will be performed. When it is minus, then subtraction operation will be performed, right? And when it is multiplication, you can see the multiplication operations performed. So you can see this way the second sub menu is completed, and the last one is the division. You can see it here. This is the division. The division operations will be performed. So if you have this thing, you can see that all these operators are done, and you can see the symmetry of this has to be followed. Once it is out of the focus or out of the lines or indentation, if the more and more indentation, unnecessary indentation, that means your program will generate errors. So you have to take care of these things. So now moving on to next thing, that is, now you can see that this is the else statement, the end of this first condition which is done here. You can see from here it started with the operator and comes to an end by this else statement. You can see the print statement will be executing with this. Now the second condition or the second option is going to be focused. See, now focusing condition number 2, that is choice. When it is 2, you will see that the table construction, as I have just written, 2 words, since the input is word format, that means the user will pass the parameter with the name for forward table or with the name reverse table. When it is input, the input string will take this to the conditional statement, where it will test the statement whether the type in word is equals to forward table or forward table or forward table. In 3 cases, I have just kept 3 cases: a running case, a title, a sentence case, or the capital letters. Okay, so you can see if any of these inputs are given or these parameters are given from the command prompts, you will see that it will start taking input from the user into T and input beginning value and the input of the last value or the stop value. So you will see that the table will run accordingly. So that means the control will be with the user whenever she wants to just start the table or whenever she wants to just stop the table. So they will be using 2 values with the table number. So now here the for loop will work. So for count in range, B is the start value, S is the stop value, +1. That means its loop does not count the exact value. That means always remain short for one value. That means you have to add +1 whenever the loop comes to an end. So it will print or it will count for all the values. If you do not write +1, so it will show you one value short than the whole number of counts. So print T table number format is equals to count is the total number 1, 2, whatever, and then C is the result where you are calculating the result, and asterisk sign is the format, right? So now else if the forward reverse table equals to reverse table or reverse table, similarly the above condition says, okay, so reverse table or the full reverse table, so it will be generating the values in reverse order. So the same case will continue, but the loop will have some changes. So you can see the changes here. For count in range, S, that means the start value, that means the stop value would be this S, and B-1 equals 2, that means it will just minus to the till the last. And again the same concept, that again you have to explicitly subtract 1 minus 1 to just count all the values, and then the -1 equals 2, so that is step -1 stepwise. So reverse ordering, right? So now print T table and the same format will remain, and then you can see else print invalid keyword entered. So this way it will work. So I am just going to show you this, how to run this code. So you will see, go to run and then run the program or run user defined shift. See, I'm just going to calculate for tables, option number 2, right? So I've entered here, enter the word, you can see forward table to generate table and forward. I'm just writing forward table, right? So it is started, it received the parameter, and then it calls the method, or it calls the particular area where I have written those statements which are required to generate a table. So now enter the table number. Yes, I am just going to give table number, let's say 3, table number 3. Beginning value is 34, and ending value is, let's suppose 43. So see, the screen scrolls up. Now I'm just showing you the, see 43, the last value is here. This is the last value. You can see this is here. Okay, this is the last value, and the starting value, last value was a 43 and the starting value was 34. See, it starts with the 34 and it comes to an end with this. Okay, so now this way it works. Now the second one would be, again I'm just running the program. So the second one would be forward table. So you will see that option number 2, forward table, right? So I'm just going to enter the value here. Let's suppose 56, and the start value is let's suppose 10, and stop value is 20, right? Just 20 values. So you will see that it has printed the same thing. The start value was 10 and the table number was 56, right? And then the last value is 20. So you can see the total. So this way it works. So now next is the part which you can see. So you can see I have added choice number 3 here. You are selected generate squares, integer square, float square, or integer square table. So and you will be entering your choice. You will see the result later on. If squares is equals to 1, so you have to do this thing, and if it is 2, then you have to do this thing, and if it is this 3, then this is a sub choice. And now you will see that how this works. So this is the format I have just kept. The is total number of counter, how many numbers you are going to produce in the table. Okay, and straight away values for integer square, for float square, right? So now I'm just going to show you the demonstration. See, go to the run, see, right? Okay, the option number 3, here, right? See, integer 1 value, let's suppose 8. What is the square of 8? You can see this is in here 64, right? The value was 8. This is the value, and the value is 64. Now again I'm just using, because it's inside the loop and it will keep on running until I explicitly close this. Okay, so now enter your choice. I'm using choice number 3, and now again I'm just going to give the value 2. So now value is 4.5. So what would be the value in float? 20.25 is the square of the 4.5 value. Enter. Okay, now the next part is coming, that is about the cube roots. Sorry, this is not a root, this is squares, not the cube roots or not the square roots. Okay, this is the cubes and the squares. Okay, so I'm going to just edit this so you can see that this will appear. Squares, is editing this. This is cubes, and I have just corrected these things, and I have just saved this. And now again I'm just running this. You will see that the squares, cubes, and quads, right? So this is not the cube root because the formula would be different, right? So now here you will see that I'm going to calculate about the cubes. Now this is a squares. I have calculated a square table, right? So we are here. So now, and as the statement will tell in valid choice, right, enter correct choice. That means if it is not from the choices given, so it would be producing the invalid message. Right, now coming on to the next part. Now coming to choice number 4, that you can see here, selected generate cubes. Now the same pattern I kept for the same, and I'm just not going to explain this. Is the similar to that thing, but I have just changed the root value, that is 3, to just make a cube of the number being input. Okay, so see, I'm just going to run this to show you the demonstration. Right, cubes, option number 4, I have input option number 4 here. Okay, option number 4. So integer cubes 1, enter integer number 2, the value should be 8, right? This is 8 over here, you can see this is here, right? And the value was input 2. Okay, so this was, you can see 2 was entered, and the cube value will be 8. And now again I'm just using the same table to produce this option number 4. cubes, let's suppose float value. Float is option number 2. So you can see enter this 2.3. The value would be C 12.16699 and so on, right? So this is the cube of the 2.3. So now moving on to the next part, that is quads. So again, I'm just going to take you for the calculating condition number 5, for where you just generate quads and the pattern will remain the same. And I have again copied it, and just to show you the value and to just show you the square value, that is 4. When it will 4 times multiplied, the quad value will be generated. So now see, the function or the steps will remain same. You will see that it has to function the way squares are calculated, but the value keeps on changing. There is 2 for square, 3 for cube, and 4 for quads. So now I'm going to run this. Again, you will see that I'm just going to use option number 5 here. Okay, so now I have put 5. So now integer 1, I have just put 4. What should be the output for? It should be 256. 16 into 4, 256. The quad value, right? 4 square 16, 16, 16, 16 4s and something like that, 256, right? So this is the quad value. And now the same for float values or decimal values or for normally float values. So you will again input for quads, and the value would be, let's suppose, 5.5. okay, so I have not yet calculated this thing. Okay, so keep watching. You can see that the other Python 3.6.5, it is working. The value I have just entered here, option number 5. You can see it is somehow working, but I don't know how does this work. This is a program, okay, and this is the output. So you can see I'm using the other editor where you see that it is generating errors. So now I'm going to just show you this here. You can see the program is here, all program is here. Again, I'm just showing this to you. You can see easily the whole code is here and everything is working here. But when I shifted to this other editor, so there are some kind of errors reported. So now see that I'm just running this. See I'm just entering option number 5. Okay, and integer and float, there was a problem raised in float. So option number 2 is here. So let's suppose 6.7. so see, it has generated the value. So now when I enter this value here, so you can see that it generates this error. Okay, so I will see this later on, but it is in front of you. I have just demonstrated this thing, so you can see that it is calculating and the program is okay and there is no problem. So now the last one is the one option that I have set to exit the program. So now if I run this program again, see, you will see that, okay, I'm just running the program again to show you the last option, that is exit. Okay, 6 is here. I have entered 6 and now you can see you selected 6, now exits the program. Thanks for using the program. So I hope you will like this and keep watching, and for the new programs being added to YouTube. Thanks for watching.